Item number 6, or item number 7, I think is probably an issue that brings most of you here tonight. And rather than speak extemporaneously, which I usually trip over, I drafted a little report here. I call it a note to file. I'd like to read it. As I reported during last month's meeting, we acknowledge the recommendation made by the town board that the planning board terminate British Petroleum's site plan application. I have sought council's opinion on the matter and made a lengthy review of the past records. In the interest of presenting a clear picture of where we are today, I offer the following outline of events. I will start with the Acciona project, otherwise known as St. Lawrence Wind Farm. On August 18, 2010, the Planning Board held a special meeting at which time St. Lawrence Wind final environmental impact statement was resolved to be quote-unquote complete. In keeping with DEC seeker requirements, a follow-up special meeting was convened on September 15, 2010 to address the statement of seeker findings. A resolution accepting the seeker findings was passed. I believe we all remember the third special meeting, which was held on October 27th. This was a singular event in two respects. First, it highlighted the extent of frustration on the part of many community citizens that their right to open comment had been routinely denied and denied with prejudice. Secondly, the developer was allowed to initiate the site plan review phase by presenting its own set of review criteria. Simply put, this was tantamount to accepting a Fox's blueprint for the construction of the hen house. Without discussion, a resolution was adopted to accept Acciona's proposed site plan review criteria. January of 2011 came and there was no activity towards Acciona's site plan review, either by the developer or the Town of Cape Vincent Planning Board. Finally, on May 11th, 2011, Mr. Edsel received a letter from Mr. Tim Conboy that began, and quotes, I anticipate it will be at least a few months before the supplemental application for site plan review is completed and can be submitted to the Cape Vincent Planning Board, end quote. Mr. Conboy went on to say that, end quote, despite the possible appearance of inactivity, we are still actively engaged in the tasks required to complete the development phase of St. Lawrence Wind Farm, end quote. There has been no further communication to or from Acciona since Mr. Conboy's May 9th, 2011 letter. Regarding British Petroleum, the draft environmental impact statement was received by the Planning Board in December of 2007. According to the Planning Board minutes of January 9, 2008, a public hearing was scheduled for the review of the BP DEIS on January 26, 2008. No minutes of such a hearing are to be found at the town offices. The draft EIS must have been accepted, but documentation of this is missing. BP's supplemental EIS was received in February of 2011. No action was initiated by the chairman or the board to begin review of the BP documents. On June 30, 2011, Messrs. Edsel, Rhinebeck, and McCarthy notified the town clerk by letter that their resignations from the planning board would be effective the following day. On August 4th, I received a letter from BP's project manager, Peter Gross, who inquired as to the progress the planning board was making in its review of the BP supplemental submission. My reply to him, dated August 8th, explained the current issues of lack of information from the prior chair, his abrupt departure from the board along with 2 others, the time needed to bring on new members and for them to become familiar with the application, and so on. No further formal exchange has taken place with this board. On June 27th, I'll leave that part. This is what we have had to work with. In my estimation, there was a lack of due diligence on the part of both applicants and the past planning board. It is the position of council and this chair that the 2 applications are, for the lack of a better term, quote-unquote live, until the remaining entity, BP, has time to deliver to this board a formal declaration as to its intentions regarding the applications. Should that response not be forthcoming on a timely basis, and I might say comprehensive response, this board will make a decision as to whether the applications have been abandoned and removed from further consideration. And lastly, I'll read my letter to Mr. Chandler.
Additionally, was there not a communication asking them to attend the meeting to update us, and there was a refusal for that request?
It's the one following yours and I believe Mark April.
It was in November of 2011. I did have a phone call, made a phone call to Mr. Gross, inviting him to come and update us as to the intentions of BP. We were still in the process of waiting, this board was still in the process of waiting for the town board to make its selection of replacement members. I made that clear to Mr. Gross that we still could not review the BP supplemental EIS because we didn't have sufficient members to do that. And I said, frankly, asking Mr. Cullen and Mrs. Borsey and me to do that was not responsible on our part to even consider it. The letter I've written to Mr. Chandler, dated last Thursday, September 6th, is as follows. Dear Mr. Chandler, this letter is to remind you that the local law entitled Cape Vincent Wind Moratorium will expire on Friday, September 7th, 2012. The town of Cape Vincent, in parentheses, New York, just so they don't get it confused with some other place, Planning Board has no correspondence with your office, has had no correspondence with your office from well before the law's enactment to the date of this letter. The town of Cape Vincent Planning Board, as lead agency under seeker, requests that BP Wind Energy North America, Inc. provide a written update on the status and plans forward for all current and proposed alternative energy applications specific to this township. You are asked to ensure that the requested update is received by the town supervisor's office no later than Wednesday, October 3rd, 2012. Please be advised, in the event that this request is not fulfilled, the Town of Cape Vincent Planning Board reserves the right to deem current alternative energy applications under the auspices of BP Wind Energy to be incomplete and abandoned. Thank you in anticipation of BP Wind Energy's prompt response. Richard H. McSherry, Chair. That's the status. They've got some time to respond to this. I do feel that, as opposed to others who may have read Mr. Chandler's comments to the Public Service Commission, I have not read anything that says absolutely that they have abandoned their current applications. So they've got some time to respond. But unless it truly is a comprehensive response that is meaningful, we will not tarry in making a decision.